I could tell you how great everything is all day long, but isn't it always better to hear from actual live human beings out in the world? And these are folks who have engaged with me in a myriad of different ways. It could be just reading the book on up to our 6-week roadmap and strategic thought partner program. And I want to start with a musician in Denmark who just started on the 6-week roadmap. And this is call 2, where we are catching up on whatever those light bulbs were since call 1. And this call in particular is the magic for me.
For the last 2 years, I locked the artist. I locked the artist in a room and just worked on the business side of myself and making money. And it's really good. It's nice. I love that I did it. Also for me, it's been building a foundation that is more safe, having a business instead of just being an artist. So I like that I've been doing it, but it's been very clear to me that I need to bring in the artist in order to be like a whole person, sort of. And what happened after the day after we spoke on Sunday, I flew out to Norway and I played a concert in a living room for 30 Norwegians in very intimate setting. And then on Wednesday, I was very inspired and I felt like that song I wrote, I had already written it, but I wrote that song and I felt like on the way home, man, I'm booking a session tonight, landing in Denmark, I'm going right to the studio. They couldn't do that, so I did it Thursday morning. And then we finished up the song Thursday, made the artwork. I made a small, very raw lyric video on Saturday in between gigs, posted it on Sunday, right? So it's like...
So what was different that allowed, other than just you and I starting together, but what was different that allowed you to give space for that creativity?
Authenticity, actually. I feel one of my big values, like being authentic in the world, and also the statement of purpose. Like today, my statement was like exposing myself, giving my true self to the world in order to get reactions back and messages and wisdom. And so I've had, as I wrote you, I've had conversations with my mom, Jesper, my producer, Peter, my business partner. I've had good conversations, because of what I did.
I watched these testimonials from folks who have either read the book or gone through the 6-week roadmap with me, or maybe we even met at a live seminar. And people ask why I do what I do. And I think you can hear in these people's voices, this is why I do what I do. Watching the proverbial light bulbs go off for people every day is why I get up in the morning. It is a huge part of my why and my statement of purpose. So let's listen into just a few more examples. How do you view your life or business differently after going through that piece of the process?
For me, I've been doing a lot of work on things like my why and my values for the last 2 years. So for me, it just helped to solidify and validate that I was in fact doing things that were more closely aligned now than say 2 years ago. So in a way it was good, because even so I might not have been a big work in progress in the perspective of like taking these massive jumps through the book. I feel like the exercise I did help to just validate where I am.
It like relit a kind of a fire. That whole wave method was like kind of eye-opening. My personal mission statement was a blend of looking at me being on the road a lot more if this opportunity shakes out, and kind of how I still stay the best dad, stay present in my kids' lives, and how I become a better leader throughout the process. No better time to mention that, hey, that this is such a focus, but a lot of leaders might not focus on that personal mission statement.
So there was a section in Finding Your Why where you asked some really interesting questions that most people don't consider. And it really, I wrote them down. How can I better understand the core purpose of my work? These questions, like, how can I? I've never looked at it from that perspective. That was a really, just kind of shifted things, like, okay. And then I went into the rest of the book, thinking about those same questions.
Hey, host waves, more clarity and focus, less ambiguity. Well, I mean, one of it was with my business, I was at that teetering edge of like, how big do I want to grow it? And do I want to keep just growing? So it really helped me sit back and like define why I'm doing this business. Like, why do I even want to do it? Why did I even start it? And so instead of just growing it just to grow it, it helped me sit back about, no, I actually wanted to get more freedom and time and flexibility. Personally, I already had the drums on my list, but things of like carving out time for things that feed me just personally, like things that I want to do, that there's no identity tied to it. There's no expectations tied to it. It's just for fun and refreshment. And so, yeah, I've made a concerted effort to add more of that in.
When I started, I had just wrapped up the worst tax season of my life, and I couldn't even talk about it without crying. And, after it, you just look at it as a whole, you describe what's important to you, and you start making decisions based on that. And very quickly, you find yourself in a completely different place. I mean, I think beforehand, it was just flying by the seat of your pants, and there was really, for me, not a lot of planning. There was intention to plan. There was when times slow down, when things calm down, when I have time. But working the course forced me to focus on what's really important in a completely different way than I would have on my own.
I do hope you'll take the quiz. It will let you know exactly where you are and where you need to go. And there's nothing to buy. If it makes sense that we work together, that's great. But my goal is just always for you to know exactly where you are. So many people on this journey have absolutely no idea where they are and then wonder why they don't know where they're going. And they end up unhappy and miserable and anxious and sometimes worse. I was in that place. I don't want that for you.